Hey everyone, it's Laura here from makingcardtosun.com, and it's time for another Saturday STEM Day carding video. In today's video, I'm going to be making a card inspired by an image I saw over at Pinterest, and I'm going to use the cone building stamp set from Simon Says Stamp for that, along with the Life is a Journey stamp set, which is from Simon Says Stamp as well. First, I'm going to play around with these stamps, and I'm just going to lay them down onto the card so I can have so I can kind of see how I'm going to place these and how I'm going to stamp these. I was inspired by an image I saw over at Pinterest, and it was a cone, so like an ice cream cone, and it was filled with flowers. And since I love ice cream and flowers, I decided I should do something like that on a card. So after positioning those flowers, I'm going to take a picture of that scene using my iPhone just so I can put that image next to me so I can easily stamp them in the right position. So I'm going to position the first stamps that I will be stamping using my image, and then I'm going to mount them onto an acrylic block, and I'm going to use some of my favorite dye inks. This is bubblegum ink from Hero Arts, and then I'm also going to use a new color of ink from Simon Says Stamp. This is called the Duckling ink color. This is just a really pretty yellow, but it's kind of a soft yellow. So I'm going to stamp that, and then I'm going to stamp a bigger flower using orange soda ink from Hero Arts. This is just a really beautiful true yellow, orange color. And then I took some Eclipse masking paper and I masked off that flower because I'm going to stamp a tiny yellow flower using lemon yellow ink behind that big flower. First, I wanted to mask all of these flowers first, but then I decided just to layer them together. But you will see that in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to stamp the cone. I'm using some soft sand ink from Hero Arts, and I masked off those two flowers. So this is a really old ink pad of mine. It's the first one of the first dye inks that I got, but it still works perfectly. So after stamping that cone, I'm going to stamp some more flowers. Here I'm using soft cantaloupe. It's just a beautiful coral color. And then I'm using my favorite light pink color. This is the soft pink, the cotton candy ink from Simon Says Stamp. And then last but not least, I'm going to be stamping some leaves using Green Hills ink from Hero Arts. So this is like my favorite green ink to use whenever I'm stamping leaves. It's just a really beautiful true green ink, and I just really love that. I'm going to heat emboss a greeting onto some black cardstock. So first I'm going to put some flour on there, but you could also use an embossing buddy or a powder tool from Martha Stewart. Just doing that so that the embossing powder won't stick to the black cardstock. For today's card, I'm using a sentiment from the More Sketchy Greetings stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm going to stamp that happy birthday greeting on there using some Versamark ink. And then I'm going to sprinkle on some white embossing powder from Wow. This is the opaque bright white embossing powder, and it is the super fine type of powder. It's perfect for heat setting these or embossing sentiments or like really detailed images. So after I heat set the powder, I'm going to adhere that sentiment banner piece onto the main card or the main piece of the card. And then I'm also going to embellish my card using some enamel dots. I decided to use some enamel dots today instead of sequins, since I just had a bunch of enamel dots laying in my storage units, and I've decided to use them today. So I'm going to use some beautiful pattern paper from the Jubilee paper pad from My Mind's Eye. And I wasn't really satisfied with the cards, so I decided to add some watercoloring. I am using Spun Sugar Distress ink from Tim Holtz, but I am using a really small amount of water since I'm not using watercolor cardstock. I'm just using regular Nina white paper, so I just don't want to use too much water. So I'm just adding a little bit of water, and then I'm going to adhere those 2 strips of pattern paper that I cut earlier. I am using my ATG by Scotch. This is my favorite go-to adhesive lately. And then after adhering that piece, I am going to adhere the main piece onto the pattern paper strips using some foam adhesive. So just positioning it, and then my card is all finished. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back very soon. Bye!